Thank you very much. So it's always a pleasure to present for the city in business affairs and consumer protection. I've have to admit I've done this webinar before, so if some of you are have seen it, we're going to present some new information. But I also would love for those if you have seen it in the past, I think it's at least a year ago, to jot down some notes and tell us how you use some of these tools to help you over the course of time since I've presented. So today we're going to talk about using technology tools to maximize profits. And I like to keep things in simple terms, so doing more with less. And if you're a business owner, especially a small business owner, I know you have a lot going on and it's all about efficiency. But even think about things that you do in your personal life. You also can use technology tools to maximize your income and your net worth. So just kind of keep in mind that this can go well beyond doing something in business. And I'll talk a little bit about that as well and how I've actually incorporated some of that into my personal life, which makes my business life a whole lot easier. So, to give a quick introduction to myself, I'm Shelby Parchman, and I'm the managing partner of a consulting firm InUrban Strategies, which I started around 2017. Done a lot of work in economic development prior to that, and just familiar with a lot of the issues that small businesses have. And
Excuse
our organ,
Shelby,
yes.
your screen is not showing.
Oh, okay. Let's see. It says I'm sharing, so let me stop the share and try it again. All right. My
It was earlier than it's.
my apologies for that. I'm actually seeing. Can you see it now?
Oh no, I don't know
Okay,
what's
let's
going
try
on.
something else here. I let's try one more thing here. Share. Okay, I think can you see it now?
Yes, now you're
Okay.
good.
I had two options to select PowerPoint, and somehow I selected the wrong one. So I apologize for that, and we'll just keep moving on. Yeah, so our four key areas of operation are operational planning, program development, delivery, access to capital, and we do back office support for our clients. So some of our key projects that we've and clients that we work with for years, we work with Rush Medical Center to do supply chain localization. And that's to help small businesses on the west side get procurement opportunities at Rush University Medical Center. We currently involved in a workforce development program that's called Jump Hire, and my organization developed that program and actually developed a nonprofit for an individual who was looking to do more workforce development program as part of his philanthropic efforts. We do a lot of operations consulting. One is Green Metals Foods, where we're doing working with them to design more processes to be more efficient. And then we also work with the nonprofit, the Good Food Catalyst, to develop more programs and help them with operational planning. And that's some of the few things that we do. We also have some smaller clients that we help with fundraising activities and all the other things. And also, if there are like any burning questions or anything, just please put them in the chat and we'll make sure that we get to them. I just want to make sure that everybody walks away with the knowledge that they want to receive today. All right. So, if any of you attended any of my other webinars, you know I love to start them with a burning question. And today's burning question would be, how can one person do all the things that you need to do? And I just mentioned that a little earlier when I talked about a small business owner just having to do a lot of things, and there's only so much that you can do. And if you think about it, I happen to be a small business owner. However, I have graduated a little bit from not having to do everything, but there was a time when I know that I had to do everything. And so, you end up wearing multiple hats, and whether you're the CEO, the accountant, you're hiring, firing people, you're out there in the trenches doing the work, or if you just you're attending various functions, trying to get folks more interested in buying your products and selling your products. So it's really tough for a small business owner to do everything. And we also know that it's hiring people is very expensive. So one of the things that I love to do is to try to incorporate more and more technology into the work that I do. So when we think about that, um, you really, what really happens when you can't get everything done is you end up being extremely frustrated. And when those frustrations happen, you are less efficient. And it tends to be a never-ending cycle, and it snowballs until you are so frustrated that it becomes very difficult running your business. And so one of the things that I like to do, and that we're going to address in this presentation, is how do you remove those frustrations and have a smoother running business. And so I always tell people that you have to work smarter and work not harder. And that's always been my mantra for well over 20 years now. And one of the things that in my corporate life, I was more of an efficiency expert. And a lot of the work that I did, and I worked with pharmaceutical companies and showing them how to make their processes much more efficient when it comes to manufacturing and testing the products that they're putting on the market. And so, one of the things that we know and the challenges that we know as a small business owner, the challenge that we have is we're always up against time. There's only 24 hours in a day. We have to sleep at least 4 to 6 of those hours, preferably 8. But I know as a small business owner, we don't do that. We're always out there working hard and making sure the business is trying to run as smoothly as possible. But we also have to balance that with money, right? Because we know time is money. And so we have a limited amount of time, but we're trying to maximize our profits as a small business owner. And so we have to find the right balance for that. But we also have to have the right tools to help us achieve that balance. And so once again, it really is all about efficiency. And the more you operate your business efficiently, the easier it is to earn money, but also the easier it is to take a break. And so, one of the things that I also tell small business owners is this notion of being on the hustle and on the grind 24/7 is not a good way to run a business. Actually, it's the worst way to run a business, and it's not a good way to run your life. Being able to operate more efficiently is the important key takeaway. And myself, I had to learn that as well. And I actually, last month, I took a couple of weeks off because I needed to recharge. Another thing I like to do as a small business owner is take multiple vacations a year, even if they're short vacations, but take some time off and get away from things. And you'll find that that'll make you more efficient as well. Believe it or not. So, what is my secret? My secret, one of my biggest secret is incorporating technology into all the processes that we do. Uh, Even when it comes to people, we make sure that we have the best technology. My staff members work with the best technology available, but I also make sure that I hire people who embrace technology and know how to incorporate that into their lives. Um, you can use There are a lot of financial tools that we can use for technology, and we'll talk about those to make life simpler, reporting simpler, processes. And this is the one that I'm really big on. I love to automate processes, and once that happens, you can really make things go the way you want them to go while you're doing other things. And I know a lot of us business owners, and some of us are employees and working, but we also have side hustles. And so that's one of the things you think about if you have a job and a side hustle, you certainly need to have more technology and automation in your processes to make things go a lot smoother and free up your time. And then the last thing is marketing, and just being able to marketing is really critical because that allows you to get the word out about your business. So then you can get in sales mode and close it. So, but there are some tools that you can use to also automate your marketing and make life a whole lot easier for you. All right, so what are some of the benefits of using technology? I touched on the most important one to me is efficiency and productivity, because that is really where the profits come in. But it also helps with communication and collaboration, and that's when you're working with your staff members. When it comes to marketing, you can increase your reach and also expand your market presence. Data management and analysis, and a lot of business owners don't really think about this one, but it's really important because the data is really the lifeblood of your organization. It's really what you use to build your product line on and your business decisions on. customer engagement and experiences. And really, a couple of bad reviews can really hurt you. So, having processes that are automated and giving customers really great experiences helps out a lot. Innovation and adaptability that also helps with your business growth, and we all should be thinking about that, not just business today, but what can my business look like a year from now or 2 years from now, and how do I start incorporating those tools today into helping grow that business. Cost savings, that is a result of a lot of efficiency and productivity implementations. Security and risk management, if you're a data heavy company, it's really important that you think about security, especially data security, and managing risk. Marketing and branding, which is once again, it's all about getting the word out in your business, but also doing it in a fashion that you don't have to do a lot of work, and that marketing and branding is going on 24/7. Supply chain management, if you have a product business, and I know over the last few years, especially since the we got into the pandemic, supply chain management has been very tough. Even today, I know we're spending $10 a dozen for eggs. I have a friend who's in Palm Springs this weekend, and they showed me a picture of eggs for $14. And that really turns out to be a part of a supply chain issue. And so, one of the things that we look at as a business, especially if you're in producing products, is how do you keep your supply chain managed well, and how do you keep products coming in, raw material coming in, so you can make product and get it out the door and turn it around and get it out the door. If you're waiting on one part, that could upset the entire chain, and that could reduce your profitability. Regulatory compliance, if you're in a business that's heavily regulated. And then customer feedback. So technology is really good for getting customer feedback, because that should allow you to make more improvements into your processes. And I'll focus on number 12 just for a couple of seconds here, because we all know that a couple of bad reviews can ruin a company. But also, when people give reviews, whether they're good or bad, you should use the good reviews to continue to make sure that you continue implementing what you're doing and try to do a little better. But it's the bad reviews that I think make or break a company in terms of how do you handle it, and then how do you improve upon that, and how do you make something better. So the companies that can make a mistake and fix it are the companies that thrive a whole lot better. So just make sure that we think about all these, and if maybe not be all 12 that that you can work with, but just think about how many of these that you can incorporate into your business, the technology tools that you can incorporate into your business and make it run a lot more efficient and smoother. All right. So one of the issues that a lot of people have is overcoming the technology anxiety. So I'll give a quick example. Years ago, my friends told me that I need to start using Apple Pay. And I'm like, I don't want to use Apple Pay. It's just another, I mean, because as much as I love technology, some of the things, especially when it comes to putting my credit card, debit card information into some app, is just something I just never wanted to do. But I finally embraced that, and I now I can't live without it. And one day I was at the grocery store and I forgot my wallet at home. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't pay for groceries. And I realized I had Apple Pay on my phone, and that was a lifeline. So technology can also get you out of binds when you accidentally put yourself into one. So don't be afraid of it. And technology, it can be intimidating because in times it seems very complex. But there is my 93-year-old mother. When she started embracing technology, and she was probably about 89, and she's wondering, like, where have I been all the time missing out on technology. I thought it was very complex, but she was working on iPad and going on YouTube and doing a whole lot of things and learning things that she never thought was possible. And so you're not too old to embrace technology, but there is sometimes some anxiety in terms of doing it. Cost concerns. Technology can be expensive. One of the things that, and I was having a chat with my staff members yesterday, and one of the things that I told them to do is, I know a lot of these apps, they offer free versions and they offer paid versions. And I told them, never be afraid to get the paid version of an app, because if we're going to embrace technology, we're going to fully embrace it. And it, as long as we can justify the cost, and usually the cost isn't that bad, but it allows us to be a lot more efficient in what we do. And I told them, it's like, I don't ever want any of our clients getting we hit the Zoom 40-minute mark and you tell them that you have to like get off and get back on. I think that's very embarrassing as an organization. And so don't be afraid to invest in technology as well. I see a lot of small business owners who are afraid to invest in technology, but it certainly makes your life a lot easier, but it also makes you look more professional. Time investment for learning. Some technology tools you can get right away, but some it takes some time. So one of the things I always tell people to do is make sure if it's something that is maybe a little more intimidating, get a tutorial. Once again, you may have to invest a few dollars into getting tutorials to help you with that, but once again, it pays off in the long run. Security apprehensions, that was me at times. I've learned to overcome that. I still we get hacked a couple, on occasion, but usually there are things that are in place to help you overcome those things. And usually it's something very simple. Like the other day, someone tried to break into my bank account, but one of the things that my bank chase did was inform me that someone they had a transaction and it was possibly fraud. It was a dollar transaction, but it was a fraudulent transaction, and so they closed my account and issued me a new debit card. Closed my debit card out and issued me a new debit card. So there is some back office and backdoor security things that are happening with technology that we don't even know about that can catch a lot of things as well. And then fear of employee resistance. Some of it is that if you bring in technology to your business, your employees may feel that you're trying to replace them. But for me, technology is more of a benefit to our staff members as opposed to a threat. And so embracing technology as a tool to help your employees become more efficient and also less stress, I think that's the best way to couch that. All right, so let's really start getting into like some of the things that, as I give you an overview, let's talk about some of the simple steps that you can use to incorporate technology into your business. And I certainly love to keep things very simple um, because to me, I just feel that anything that becomes too complex really takes out the point of using technology. And so, number one is when we start looking at our businesses, I think the first thing that happens, and I tell people I've been very guilty of this, is not having a really dynamic website. And some of the reasons is just that our business doesn't really operate by a web presence, and that a lot of the work that we do has been word of mouth. So it hasn't been important for us to have this really, really nice, dynamic website. But for most people who are in business, that website gives you credibility, it gives you visibility, it helps you build a brand image. And also, if you are selling products and services, it allows your customers to get not only get more information to engage with you, and gives you an opportunity to convert uh, potential customers into like purchasers. And also it's important that you establish online visibility with search engine optimization. I know that's kind of a term I feel is a bit overused because everybody is doing search engine optimization, but there are some simple steps that you can work with a web designer to make sure that you move up in rankings. But a lot of it is just the getting more visibility, more traffic to your website will organically help that as well. And then leveraging social media. And some of it is like you have to choose the right platform. So some of the work we do, LinkedIn is a great platform for it. Some of the work we do, Instagram and Facebook are great platforms. It really depends on your audience, the message that you're trying to do, and it's important that as you start thinking about building these things, it's really important that you understand who your target market is, and to develop content strategy that resonates with your audience. So one of the things I would talk about as well is we just had a recent as we were working on one of our projects, and it was in workforce development. And so one of the technology tools my staff member incorporated was this program called easy texting. And so we could send out mass text messages to folks about, like, here are some workforce development programs that we have available, here's some training. And we got a lot of responses from that, and we were very, it was easy to engage with this audience. They loved it. So one of the things that we discovered, that after like looking at like what were the results of that, and this is why it's important also to make sure that you use these technology tools to track like your effectiveness. And so we found that we get a lot of engagement, a lot of people excited, but once we got people into the program, they didn't get jobs. And the reason they didn't get jobs was because they were so reliant on text messaging that when employers send them an email saying, "Hey, we want you to would you come in for an interview?" They never check their emails. And so, right message, wrong platform. And then it turns out that, one of the things that we did to revamp it is we went to more email marketing, and email communications, because that then told us these are the people who actually regularly check their email. And so just looking at our numbers and using these technology tools to really refine what we're doing helped out a lot. So those are the things that not only does it make you more efficient, and I talked about it, how you can actually come in and figure out like what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, and change it. And then lastly, one of the things, the other things that I always encourage the folks that I consult with, encourage your audience to create and share content. And that's really important because that's kind of an automation right there. As if your audience is really in tune to your product and what you're doing, they can actually create and share content. And so that kind of helps you spread the word a lot more without doing much. And then we all know that live video and stories work really well. If you become a good storyteller, that works a lot. And then really think about some live video and video content. And one of the things that I'm working with one client who's starting to build a social media presence. And it's one of the things is like you start looking at live video. If you want even video content, if you want to post something every day, you don't necessarily have to um, uh, record every day or do a recording every day. You can actually do those recordings in one day and then set them up to automatically post. I was watching the news the other day, and they were talking about Vanna White and the Wheel of Fortune. And she was saying that, like, basically she works about 35 days out of the year because they film all the stuff in a short period of time and then put it out. So technology and automation works really well, and it frees up a lot of time to do other things. So please keep that in mind as you think about building your business. All right, so let's talk about some of the communication tools. Slack is one that we've used quite frequently, and it's really to me it's more like it's almost like a text messaging tool, but it's more internal text messaging, so we get real-time messaging, file sharing, um, and it just allows us to do a lot of communication just into groups, and even breaking the staff up into groups to make sure that everything is getting, the word is getting out, because sometimes too what we see in emails, people are not necessarily checking their emails quite often, but Slack allows us to have more real-time communications without the use of the cumbersome emails. Microsoft Teams, this is one I love to hate, and I hope Microsoft starts improving it because it could be a very good tool. I think it's a very complex tool. And so my team will tell you when it comes to technology anxiety and something I shy away from, it tends to be Microsoft Teams. If I had to have a choice of Zoom, or Teams, I will always choose Zoom. Some people like Teams, and I tell them, if you want to have a good chat with me, please do Zoom. But on the other hand, the Microsoft products have really good integration, and when working well, Teams is a very strong tool because it really brings all the things that you need together. Spreadsheets, files, documents, document sharing. Uh, it just brings it all together, and it could be really, really good. So hopefully over time, teams will improve because it really is a very professional tool that can work really well. But for now, I'm sitting on the fence with teams, and I don't know if others had similar issues with teams, but you should share something with the group in terms of like what's your experience has been, or uh, I know some people prefer Google, and sometimes my team forces me to do that. So I know Google has a suite of tools as well. I don't think it's integrated as Microsoft Teams, um, but it's one of those things where you have to deal with it, love it or hate it. All right, I see someone says they're not a fan of Teams. More power to you. Trello is something we use for project management. I really like it. It's once again for me, I have a lot going on, and my team is that's a way for them to like keep me on task. Which part of it too, you have to have a good. To me, for Trello, you have to have a good project manager to do project management. But if you are good at like staying organized, Trello is a good tool to help you stay organized and collaborate across your organization. And as I mentioned, Google Workspace is a good one. Uh, you know, there are pluses and minuses to each one of them. For me, I feel that Google is not as professional looking as Microsoft, uh, but so I kind of tend to use a little bit of all of them as opposed to being married to one particular productivity app. In many instances, my team will use Google Workspace, we'll use Microsoft Teams. It really just depends on the project and what we're trying to accomplish. But it's one of those things where you pick one that works well, the best for you, and stick to that and optimize it to work for you. All right. Um, and then my favorite is Zoom. I feel that I've been using Zoom well before the pandemic hit, and so I have a lot of experience on Zoom, and I feel that each day, each update, it gets a lot better, and I feel Zoom is one of the most powerful tools that you can use, having your toolbox uh, for video conferencing, and that's why I tell people just pay the $15 a month and really be able to use all of Zoom and use it how you want to use it, because there will be a time when you need to talk a little more than 40 minutes. So um, Asana is a project management, a project and task management tool that some of my clients use. So we use that as well. But then there's a lot of just so many tools out there. There's probably not one that's like the best. You can always Google and say, what are the top five for this? And if you'll get different answers from different people in terms of which one is best. So it really turns out that the technology tools that you use are the technology tools that will work best for your business. There are many to choose from, but once again, just take your time and figure out what works best for your business. And then my warning too is not to try not to incorporate too many of them because um, that can get pretty overwhelming as well. So, all right, accounting and inventory. So this is where most small businesses fail miserably, and this is where I don't have a lot of hair, but I end up pulling my hair out because no matter what size company I work with, whether it's a company making $5 million in revenue or for the company making $5,000 in revenue. Uh, the accounting side of things are usually the problem that most people have, and there are so many things that you can do in terms of integrating um, these technology tools to help your business out a lot. So QuickBooks is another one I love to hate. I don't necessarily like it, but it is kind of the standard in accounting software in that most accountants use it. Most businesses now use it, especially small businesses. And in some instances, it works really well. And then in some places, I just really don't like it. But I am married to QuickBooks. And we won't be getting a divorce anytime soon. So I just have to work with it and just deal with some of the nuances. So one of the tools that they have actually they've incorporated now is that if your vendors can send an email to a particular a unique email address in QuickBooks, and it actually sends that invoice to QuickBooks, so you don't have to worry about like finding that invoice and getting it in another email. It sends it directly to QuickBooks and allows you to upload it really quickly. So that works out really well for us. In some instances, we also, one of the clients I have, we use QuickBooks integrated with Bill.com. And Bill.com is the same thing. It's more of a bill paying software, but it also incorporates with QuickBooks. So QuickBooks has a lot of third-party apps that it can work with, but it also is doing its own bill pay system that works with Melio for bill pay. So once again, there's so many ways that you can use these tools to make to work well with your business. QuickBooks also has different versions. So if you're a nonprofit, there's a nonprofit version. If you're in production, there's a production version. If you're in service industry, there's a service version. Um, but once again, there are some nuances to QuickBooks that when it's tax time, you really have to go back and like figure some of the things out that it may have not done well, and then it tells you about. But outside of that, I think QuickBooks is really good. Zero is another one, a cloud-based accounting software that I've used, and I actually, when I'm teaching uh, cloud-based accounting software, I actually use Zero as an example as opposed to QuickBooks because Zero is much simpler, uh, and it's a little cheaper than QuickBooks. And I believe with Zero, the last time I worked with it, there was actually a free version of it. But once again, I don't believe in free versions because I tell my business owners you want to get if you're going to use a tool, have all the power of the tool as opposed to partial power. But Zero, for me, I felt it's probably much better than QuickBooks. Uh, and some days I'm like, maybe I should go to Zero. But once again, I'm in this long-term relationship with QuickBooks that I just can't get out of. And I'm sure some of us have that feeling. All right, Wave is another one that I've worked with, and it's pretty good. I know some of my clients use Wave because I get bills that from Wave accounting software. So once again, you look at these programs and use in apps and use the ones that work best for your business based on what you're trying to do in your business. uh, like Wave, they have payroll services. QuickBooks has payroll services, and one of the things that like with QuickBooks, I use their QuickBooks payroll services for one of my businesses, and it works very well for what we're doing. And it's actually payroll is automated, so because all my staff is on salary, I just automate the paycheck time. It's just that it sends me a note saying, "Hey, auto pay. If you want to review it, do it." And I would say I haven't had to do anything in the last 6 months, so I never have to worry about that. Prior to that, I may miss the payroll deadline by a day, and my folks are getting paid a day late, and that's not really a good thing either. So, so one of the things that you have to look at is like, how many staff members do you have? How complex is your business? And choose an accounting and inventory management program that works best for you. So Zoho Books is another one of the more popular ones that you can take a look at as well. All right. Now let's get into CRMs. So if you have a customer base, it's really important to stay connected with your customer base. And a CRM, a customer relationship management tools, are a good way to do that. And so one of the things that years ago, I was actually in sales and was introduced to Salesforce, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it makes it life a lot easier when you can have all your contacts in one area, you can rank your contacts based on, are they hot leads, are they prospects. You can look at your sales pipeline, and that's also part of planning, right? If you're doing cash flow planning, and looking at like revenue projections, that sales pipeline is very important. And you can also do some marketing automation. So these tools are really designed to help you run your business a whole lot smoother, stay in contact with your customers, and most of them are very user friendly. Once again, HubSpot offers a free version, but there's also paid versions that you can use as well. And usually, sometimes the free versions only allow you a certain number of clients, and the paid versions allow you more and more tools that are available. Zoho is another one, lead management, sales pipeline. And so one of the benefits of Zoho is that it's user friendly and it's customizable. So and also check and make sure they integrate with third party applications because that makes them more powerful. And so right now we're actually looking for one of our projects. We're looking now to incorporate a CRM. And so we're going back and looking at each one of these to see which one could work best for what we're trying to do. And then there's Salesforce. That's another one. Salesforce can be very expensive. It can be very complex, but they have a Salesforce Essential, which is more of a scaled down version. And that's probably what most small businesses need. Uh, and so I started using Salesforce a long time ago, back in the '90s, as Salesforce is becoming more of a new product in the late 1990s. And so I do love Salesforce. Once again, though, it can be expensive and it can be complex, but since it's been around so long, there's a lot of customizable features that a lot of organizations use now. I even see even some of the foundations that we work with actually use a version of Salesforce. So it turns out it's going to be one of the most popular ones. And then the other one is Fresh Sales, and it's actually started to incorporate some AI into it, which a lot of the programs are starting to do now as AI is becoming much more popular and widespread. And once again, if it's one of those, is if you're incorporating some of these into your business, it's not just about me talking, but please share it in the chat box with the group and make sure that you give some of your experiences in terms of working with some of these, because once again, uh, they're all good products if you're fitting it into your application the way it should be fit into your application. And then so we have all of those technology tools that have been developed, but it's also okay to keep it super, super simple. And in one instance, we did this for a client, and it actually worked out really well for us. We actually developed a new product by doing something that's very simple. So you can use Excel and Google Sheets to do some of the simple tasks for your business. Uh, they're pretty user friendly. There are a bunch of tutorials out there. You don't have to be highly tech and know how to program to use these things. And now AI allows you to even set up some of these spreadsheets as well. Um, then there's the offsite accessibility, so you don't necessarily need an internet connection. So if your Wi-Fi goes down, you can still work on your spreadsheets. And then for basic data management, you can use them. However, we have actually used it for some more complex data management, and I'll show you that in a second. And here we go. So we had a nonprofit that we were working with, and we started looking at so it started off with a simple spreadsheet in terms of just looking at um, doing a budget planning for the next year. And that budget planning spreadsheet turned into a spreadsheet with like 15 tabs that we call the master plan. And in these 15 tabs, we actually took a snapshot of the organization. And part of this, we stole this from a private equity firm that we work with. But we modified it. It was something they use for evaluating businesses, and we took some of the concepts and we used it to evaluate a nonprofit and track development activities, track budgets, track staffing. And once we developed, when things like this, you only have to develop them once, and then we were able to use it throughout. So we were able to create dashboards and charts. And so when the spreadsheets updated, uh, the all the charts update and the graphs update, and it really gives a good snapshot of the organization. So when the executive director now wanted to do a presentation to the board, all he had to do was copy and paste these charts into the presentation, and it made it a lot easier for him. And so just developing something as simple as this, it's from an Excel standpoint, it's not simple, but it's one of those medium complexity things that allowed us to develop a tool that we now actually incorporate into a lot of the nonprofits that we work with, and it's actually a tool that they pay us to use. So this to me is a very simple technology that allows us to track a lot of stuff for the nonprofit. So even in this instance, just checking out like uh, just adding numbers. And then if once again, like if this organization, they needed to report out to their funders what was going on in terms of like their metrics and their outcomes. And so this allowed everything in one place. So the executive director could easily go in, the development person can easily go in and figure all of this out. And even in one instance, like if the goals aren't being met, the box turns red. So it's an easy snapshot to uh, evaluate performance, not only for funders, but also during the year for the nonprofits. And a lot of businesses can incorporate tools like this, and they don't have to be as complex. They can be very simple spreadsheets to help you out. And once again, if having a little knowledge of Excel and the ability to Google how do I do this in Excel makes life a whole lot easier. And sometimes you can even find pre-made spreadsheets to help you with this. So once again, you don't always have to go complex in terms of some of the paid apps, but you can also do some of this your in-house yourself. And so then we all know, and I'm not going to get political here, but one of the things that we see now is that the government is trying to be a lot more efficient, and the best way they do that is to just lay off a bunch of people, which is not the best way to be efficient, but you always have to be efficient in how you do that. And so one of the things as a small business owner, I always ask myself, do I really need all these people, right? And so one organization that we have is that we have about 70 people working. It's a manufacturing organization. And every day when I see, every 2 weeks when I see payroll, this is the question I ask. Do we really need all these people? Because more staff costs you more money, and in some instances you don't necessarily do. So one of the things we did end up doing is looking at like how do we operate our bill pay system, and found out that we could automate that through QuickBooks, and so that took out the need for one full-time person. uh, don't necessarily take pleasure in letting people go, but also as you're running a business, your staff members are probably the most expensive part of your business, and staff and cost of goods if you are running a product business. And so, you have to be very intentional about that. And so, leveraging technology and labor. So, increased efficiency. Once again, we're always going to talk about efficiency, automation, and streamline processes, cost savings, reduce labor costs. I look at one business that I'm an investor in, and 70% of our business is labor costs. And I really would like to get that down to 50%. But it also requires us to come up with a lot of operational efficiencies. And we also have to look at productivity, and productivity really means bringing in more technology. And maybe we can change the way we do things on the manual side, but productivity, in order to increase your operations efficiency, you really need to be able to automate and incorporate technology. Improve accuracy. Technology has a tendency to be more accurate than humans, and that's another reason why people are trying to incorporate technology more and more into their businesses. And then 24/7 availability, which is really important. We can't be everywhere all the time. The old saying is you want to make money in your sleep. The only way you're going to do that is that you have things that are automated and people can access your business 24/7 while even while you're not tending to the business. Scalability. So if you're looking to scale your business, technology is really important. If you want a competitive advantage over your customers, usually technology gives you a better competitive advantage. If you can make things faster, cheaper, you can either lower your price or you can be more take more profits home. I personally like taking more profits home instead of lowering prices. There's no true advantage into being the lowest price person out there. Customer experience, you can keep your online presence, and you can also you should make sure you personalize it as you are looking to leverage technology. And that's one of the things that really escapes people is that sometimes, and we'll talk about this in AI when I talk a little bit about AI, technology still requires some personalization. And so one of the things that I always say approach integration of technology, especially when it comes to labor, thoughtfully and ethically. And I wrote this presentation long before Doge was around. So these concepts still stand today that, and it's really apolitical, is that you really have to be ethical in how you approach technology and labor. And so that's one of the things that we really do as an organization. We don't like laying people off unless it's absolutely necessary. And so we try to figure out a way to, even if we have to lay someone off, can we incorporate them into another part of the business or help them get a job somewhere else? And so the question is, what about AI? AI is becoming very, very popular and a tool that, when used properly, works really well. When just used, it doesn't work too well. And so, I love incorporating AI into what I do. However, I do see issues that AI can bring about that you have to be very careful about as you incorporate AI into your work. So, what is AI? It's the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. Now, one of the things that we do know that human intelligence has to go into AI, and just because it's machine learning, it doesn't mean that the machines are that smart. The machines are only smart as the data that's put into them, and sometimes still, machines aren't able to parse and separate the data the way it should be. So you should always remember that the human mind is still a lot more powerful than what the AI can do. And so there are a lot of popular AI apps on the marketplace right now. Uh, I use Chat GPT because that's the first one I use. Once again, not endorsing any of them. It's what works best for you, your situation, and your business. And I have a paid version of Chat GPT because, once again, get the tools that you need and pay for them, and that will help you out much more than doing free versions of them. So I'll give you a quick example on how you can use AI to generate content. So when I wanted to do this presentation, I said, uh, write me a description of a workshop using technology to enhance profitability. And I said the audience is not very tech savvy. Now, this audience may be very tech savvy, but I also like to keep it simple, right? I didn't want to just jump in and just like assume everybody had a high level of technology, but I just want to make sure that we cover the baselines. And so this is what came back. And I thought it was pretty good, pretty good. So what I did was then I took that, I created my own workshop title, and then I modified this a little bit to make sure that it fit what I was trying to do. Because, once again, AI understands in principle what I'm trying to do, but it can't personalize things. And then technology, we know, can fail. So here's an example of this is an automated bagging machine. This is a beef jerky company that me and my team is invested in. And we had this really expensive $200,000 piece of equipment that was supposed to just auto bag the beef jerky and make it really, really great. Make it really, really efficient. It turned out to be the worst piece of equipment we could ever have owned, and we ended up like tossing it in the garbage. What we found is that one of the things about beef jerky is it can be very sticky, and actually, in many instances, a hand packing process with optimized flow works a whole lot better than an auto bagger, and we actually have fewer mistakes. So auto bagger will sometimes forget to put the oxygen absorbers in, so we get mold. It wouldn't necessarily give us the proper weights, and so there's many times when automation, where it seems good, it doesn't necessarily always work well in a particular application. So we went to a hand packing, and now we're looking at uh, bringing back automation, but now, once again, keeping it simple, not having such a complex piece of machinery, but doing something that's a lot simpler, allowing us to partially automate the process. Then it allows us to then earn more money and become more profitable. And what we would do is that we wouldn't fire anyone, but we would, as people leave, we wouldn't replace them. So that's the ethical side of things in terms of how we operate our business. And then I want to add some recommended reading to everyone. This is one of my favorite books. It was called When Genius Failed, How One Small Bank Created a $1 trillion Hole, The Rise and Fall of Long-Term Capital Management. So it was a large hedge fund ran by some of the smartest people in the world. They were no Nobel Prize winning economists. They were profitable, very profitable, up to the tune of $1 billion. It drove over, sorry, $1 billion in investment capital, and they were using this arbitrage strategy to get these high returns. Uh, but they borrowed a lot of money in doing so, and then things just kind of like crashed, and it almost brought down the whole global banking system, and the U.S. government had to step in. And I think we've heard of that before because I think it happened back in 2008 again. So the mortgage crisis is nothing new. But the trading was really had a platform that was relying on technology, and technology was being used to predict changes in the market. But what the technology did was it took out the human touch. And as human beings, we can see things that machines can't see because, and we can, it's almost like the human intuition. And that's what sometimes technology takes out of the game. And so this, I think, is a really good book to talk about how technology can be great, but it also can hurt you. Before I do that, I'm going to jump back to talking about AI as well, because the other day I was doing a grant proposal and using AI I would generate some content, and then I would use AI um, to like say refine this and help me make a more convincing argument. And so one of the things that ended up happening is that the chat GPT ended up getting a little confused because I had multiple projects going on. And so the grant I was writing was for economic development, but it turned my economic development project into a workforce development project because I did a lot of prompts in terms of workforce development. And so one of the things that makes AI lot more powerful is that you have to understand how to prompt it and how to keep prompting it. So anytime I put something into chat GPT, I normally I'm using usually end up prompting it 5 or 6 times, refining it till I get something that I think is very usable. And then I take that, copy it into a Word document, and then I further refine it and I start adding some of the touches to it because once again, it knows the basics of stuff, but it doesn't know the personal side of stuff. So as we start thinking about using technology, AI, and any other tools, just make sure that you understand that it's very important to incorporate that personal touch. The last thing I want to see is a resume that's completely AI generated. The last thing I want is my team to give me a report or develop a newsletter letter that's completely AI generated with no human touch to it. And so technology is really good, but one of the things that I would ask everybody to understand as you're using technology is to make sure that you're able to incorporate the human touch into it. Um, so one of the questions has been, I'll just answer it right quickly. What is the difference between chat fee and the free version and the paid version? The paid version actually is a more powerful tool, and it can actually go look at websites and gather information off websites. It's like one time I was doing some work and and I just said, I need to add the history of the organization. It actually went to the web and pulled out like a very pretty accurate history of this organization that I was writing about. So that makes life a whole lot easier. So you get more information, you get a higher quality of information on the paid version. And then there's a comment, I'm interviewing for jobs now. I can tell all the cover letters were from chat because they're all identical. Yes. And so that is a very good point. Technology, don't let technology take you out the game because technology, once again, you have to put that human touch into it. It's so easy to tell what's been generated through AI like Chat GPT and what is more human. So as you look at as you look at your options, make sure, especially when it comes to generating content, that is more personalized than what these programs are actually giving, apps are actually giving you. All right, so let's skip ahead. And so some of the key takeaways that we talked about: make sure you continue to build and enhance your online presence using technology. Uh, um, Implement basic business software. We talked about those, and you can always go back and get them. Connect with your customers, and once again, being more intentional about it. Automating those processes, generating content, using some of these apps to actually schedule your content makes life a whole lot easier for you. One of the things that when we talk about that too, I think a lot of people feel that they need to um, generate or like be on like Facebook and Instagram and constantly be, generating content. And for my message to those people is that you don't, if you're spending a lot of time on these social media apps, uh, trying to promote your business, you're really spending less time running your business. Most of these marketing tools should be generated automatically uh, and not spend a lot of time just constantly posting, constantly responding. So I look at some of the small business owners I know, and you spend a lot of time on social media and spend very little time on your business. So don't let social media consume you as well. Use more technology tools to help you generate content and post content. Um, let's go to the next one. Use your data to make informed decisions, and then safeguard your business from online threats, which is really really important. So there's a comment Chat GPT. Oh, there's Dwayne Bester. Hi, Dwayne. I thought I saw someone I knew on there. Um, so yeah, so it has a feature to customize tone and traits. I certainly will agree. But once again, there's nothing like adding your own tone and personal touch to it after that's been generated. Once again, AI, as they call it, intelligence, but it's really looking at all the things that are like been content has been generated in the world and trying to pull it all together and make something work for you. But once again, remember, genius will fail. And so that's when you need to come in and give it the personal touch. But that's a great comment. And so my last words is, in anything that you do, always keep it simple. And so I will open it up to, let's go. I know someone asked for contact information. So there's my contact information. We'll keep it simple, info@inurbanstrategies.com. And then someone certainly will get back to you. And if not me, one of my staff members, depending on the question that you have. But we always, anytime we do these webinars, we don't do it to advertise our services because we don't market. We work on word of mouth. But if you send us a question and ask us something, we will. Uh, answer it for free. We don't believe in just selling our services all the time. It's that part of our social give back is that if someone calls with a question, as long as you don't take up more than an hour's worth of our time, we usually will answer it for free. And so now I will open it up to questions. Let's see. So, as an emerging entrepreneur, as emerging in business, how much should we be spending on AI? I spend about $20 a month on AI for myself, and then each one of my team members spends about $20 a month on AI. So I don't think you. I think the Chat GPT subscription is $20 a month. So once again, it's not a lot of money that you should be spending on any of these things, and that's why I tell people that it's really important to me that that you actually use some of these paid versions. Zoom, I think, is $15 a month, and I think that like for um, for like less than $100 a month, you can have a whole lot of tools at your disposal as a small business owner. What do you use for reviews to ensure that you get them? Jonah, so personally, we could care less about reviews, but send me a note and I'll send that over to my marketing team because on some of the projects we do work on reviews. I don't personally. For our organization, we're very selective about the clients, and most of them all our clients come to us based on word of mouth, and we don't market. So, uh, but my team, we do have a very good marketing team. If you send that note to them at info, they'll be more than happy to and add a few more details in terms of what you're trying to accomplish, and someone will help you out. Okay, and that's true of anyone else. Is that if you have a question, try to provide as much detail as you can, and my team will make sure that they give you the best response possible. And if we don't know, we'll certainly let you know. Oh, hi, Marcy, how are you? So I see I have some folks that I know here. Listening on the presentation today. So hopefully this was very uh, informative. And once again, I thank the city of Chicago for inviting me over to do the presentation. And we'll, if there are no more questions, I can turn it back over to BACP. Thank you, everyone. Hi, Lisa.
Thank you, Shelby, for today's presentation. Thanks to all of you who were able to attend today. If you are a part of the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, you will receive credit for your attendance today. To learn more about that program, please visit chicago.gov /BACP certificate. Today's webinar was recorded and will be available no later than Monday on our YouTube channel, and that's youtube.com /Chicago BACP. Right. On March 27th, we will be hosting our first remote small business expo. To register, please visit chicago.gov /Biz Expo. That's BIZ Expo to register for our upcoming small business remote expo. Thank you again to Shelby, and everyone enjoy your weekend.
Anyway. And